This is a response video to Nathaniel Thomas, Belle Argula, and Michaela Clark. So first, Nathaniel Thomas. I like how he explained his opinion on how Orhan the child wasn't included in the murders and like wasn't really a part of that part of the story, like the mystery and stuff, and like he was a true child and innocent and he's like observing everyone. I also agree with how Orhan isn't reliable because he didn't actually understand what was going on. I understand that like he didn't really know. He was just like observing, and like what we saw was from his point of view, and so it wasn't reliable because he not only didn't he understand, but he's a child, so he would dramatize everything. Orhan the author, Nathaniel explains that he is reliable because he has experience and understanding. However, he at the same time isn't reliable because he is biased towards the miniature style. I also agree with how Nathaniel explained that Orhan the author is deceptive, which kind of questions his reliability as well. He believes that Orhan the kid is innocent. And I also agree with that because Orhan the kid, yeah, he's a child and is innocent. And it's not like he's meaning to be deceptive when it's like from his point of view necessarily. It's just that it is just how he is. So, I also agree with how he believes how not necessarily believe. I also I liked how Nathaniel mentioned some may like one person or like a person may believe that they're innocent but they're not, and it kind of reminded me of chapter where it talked about I will be called a murder, and like how that person believed like what he was doing was right and how he was not necessarily innocent, but like what he was doing was right, and that it kind of just reminded me of that. But overall, I liked Nathaniel's video, and I would have to agree with it. It's not like I disagree. I like his opinion. Next is Belle Argula. So she believes the child Orhan is innocent, but like not to trust him completely because the story is fit to his perspective. Like how he isn't necessarily he's innocent, but he's not meaning to be unreliable, and the only reason why he is unreliable is because he's a child, and like sometimes it's like over dramatized, everything seems bigger than what it really is. That's really what it is. And she states that the lack of innocence from the author is really from him putting his ideas in our heads at the end. Like how the author is self-inserting himself. It's just that he's fully aware of it. Which is an interesting take. I do have to agree. I didn't necessarily understand the last part with the lack of innocence from the author. But at the same time, it kind of reminded me of like how he's aware, he understands, and that's why he is not innocent, is because he understands, unlike Orhan, and how Orhan doesn't understand, like how Nathaniel explained it. It kind of reminded me of that, so I think that's like the correlation between the two of them. But overall, yes, I did like her video, and yeah, I like her opinion. It was really different from what I expected. So everybody's opinion was different from mine, so it was interesting. So next is Michaela Clark. So she kind of explains what we were all trying to say in like in a good way. So, in a great way, actually. So, she says that Orhan's perspective is self centered, imaginative. It's like, to me, it was like dramatic, unintentionally unreliable, like most children, like how they always tell a story and it's just more. It's a more, they always try to impress type thing. His reliability and all that kind of question makes his reliability be questioned. Not really meaning to do it, be unreliable, but that's just how children are. And she explains that really well. The book, she also states that the book is filled with unreliable characters in chapters, which I found really interesting that she made that known, which is true because the author kind of wrote the story in a way where everything is not as it seems, and now like every single person has something that makes them not innocent of a sort. So it was like how like they've all done something bad. Kind of like the child has not really done anything bad, so he really is innocent. She believes, which I found interesting, is that both are innocent. Like the author, Orhan the author, and then Orhan the child are both innocent, which is very different because obviously, like the two people before, Nathaniel and Belle, both argue that the author is not necessarily innocent, but the child is. And she explains that both are innocent if you look at it at different ways. So she explains that the child is innocent in moral sense, not involved really with the story, like the murders, the lying, and the war between the two art styles. He's not really a part of that. But he is a manipulator. Unintentionally, he's like manipulating the story, our perspective, like his perspective and what we see coming from his point of view. Which I do agree with that, but it's like unintentional. The adults, so Orhan, the author, she explains, is innocent because he didn't exist during the events of the novel. Like he wasn't really involved with it. So he is innocent. And then his innocence, the adult Orhan, is his innocence is the freedom to write the novel, a reflection of the author. So I found her take really interesting, and she explained everything in a great way, kind of summed up everything I was trying to say, but other than the adult part. And it was a really interesting outlook for the adult Orhan and author. So yeah, that's the response for those three.